G'day guys and welcome back to another episode on the podcast. Today, I thought this episode was pretty fitting considering how long this kind of challenge has been going on for, and the recent trend also in this past year that 75 hard has been going on with a bunch of influencers, a lot of lower level social media content creators going through and doing this challenge, being 75 hard. So firstly, what is 75 hard? For the people that don't know, it's basically a challenge where it was created by this entrepreneur called Andy Frisella. I think that's how you pronounce his name. It was created in 2019, and it's not whatsoever marketed as a fitness program, but more as a self-discipline or mental toughness type of program, or transformation if you want to call it that. And so there are 5 key rules towards this challenge. First one being there has to be 2 workouts per day. One of them has to be outdoors. Follow a strict diet, no cheat meals and no alcohol. Drink a gallon of water daily. Well, that's around 3 to 4 litres of water per day. Read 10 pages of a non-fiction or self-help book. And take a progress picture every single day. And so if you miss one of those things on one of those days, then you have to go back to day one. You have to restart all over again. And a lot of people on social media have also, they've altered some of the rules to, I guess, dedicate it more to them and allocate things that are more applicable and challenges that they're able to commit to for the 75 days, because they personally don't think that they can do it, and that's completely fine. And so this routine, it does sound pretty simple when you put it out on paper, like 2 workouts per day, follow a diet, drink a shitload of water, read 10 pages, and just take a picture of myself every day. When you say it like that and you read it out on paper, it sounds pretty fucking easy, honestly. But in practice, it's very, very extreme. And it's got millions of people completely inspired and also absolutely burnt out. And me personally, from my own personal experience, doing 2 workouts a day and trying to give as much effort into those 2 workouts as you can is really tough. For me, throughout year 12, I would go to the gym 2 to 3 times a week in the morning before school, and then most of the time I would have training after school as well. So I'd be doing 2 workouts per day. And if I wasn't going to school training, I would go and kick the footy by myself after school when I wasn't studying. So I would be doing 2 exercises or 2 workouts per day, one being like a gym workout, one being like me running around kicking the footy for a bit. And I would never be able to do 2 workouts 2 days in a row. And that purely wasn't even because of my my lack of mental toughness, because I think I'm relatively and subjectively or objectively a mentally tough person. But when it comes to doing 2 workouts per day and you're putting in that much effort, I think it's ridiculously hard, and especially to do it for 75 days. And that's why I want to firstly talk about, the science behind, how useful is working out twice per day. And so one of the toughest rules in this challenge, being 75 hard, is by far and obviously the 2 workouts per day, because it's so straining. So from a physiological standpoint, this can be a serious stressor on your body, and especially if it's not programmed properly. So a study done in 2014 by the Journal of Sports Science found that insufficient recovery between training sessions leads to cumulative fatigue, elevated cortisol levels, and potential overtraining symptoms. So this is especially going to happen without the appropriate amount of sleep and nutrition as well. And so for the general population, this level of training without any prior experience or any sort of personalization towards their own needs, it can result in immune suppression and risk of injury. This is especially occurring because most of the time, the general population working a 9 to 5, that means they'll have to get up at 5, 6 o'clock to do maybe go for a run or go to the gym before work. And then after work, vice versa, go for a run or go to the gym. And a lot of the time after work, you get home at 5:30, maybe even 6 o'clock, depending how far away you live from work. And then by the time you eat, have something before your workout, and then actually start to do it. And then when you finish, it's like 8, 9 o'clock. You're knackered. You started later than you wanted to, and you get home. You have a little bit of dinner. You stay up. You have to do more work. Your food hasn't digested, and next thing you know, it's 11, 12 o'clock, and your sleep's gone completely out the window because you're focusing so much on getting these 2 workouts done. And so there was another study done by the European Journal of Sports Science, and shows that differentiates between overreaching, good stress, and overtraining, which is chronic stress. So that's your bad stress in your body. So overreaching is it's like the progressive overload, so the good stuff, the good stress that your body needs to progress and get stronger and get more muscular and get better. So many 75 hard participants inadvertently push into the overtraining territory because they're doing 2 workouts per day. And especially when combining workouts with a calorie restriction, it makes it really, really hard for your body to recover. And so when you just jump from maybe working out 3 times per week, which is still really good, to then working out twice per day, every single day for, it's like, not a month and a half, like 2.5 months, which is a long time. And so personally, I think if you're not an experienced athlete or someone that's not experienced to exercising really frequently, I would say like 4 or 5 times per week, I think that, or you don't understand your recovery very well, if you don't have much knowledge on, or much education on how the body works with your recovery and after training, then 2 a day workouts for 75 hard, doing it for 75 days, it can cause more harm to you than good, obviously. Like, to put it into perspective, when I would be training, okay, so let's do some maths. So 2 workouts per day, 7 days in a week, that's 14 workouts per week. When I was 16, I was training a lot. So I was doing representative footy. So that's a high level of footy, and that's on top of doing my local footy training as well as my gym. So I would train Monday, Wednesday, Friday for my representative footy, and then I'll do 1 training for my local footy. So that's 4 sessions. And then I'll do 3 gym workouts. So that's an extra 3. That's now 7. And then I'll have a game. If you count that, that's 8. So at probably my highest training load in my life so far, I was doing 8 sessions per week. That's a big difference. That's 6 extra sessions. Yeah, 6 extra sessions. And honestly, like, myself, I still would have no idea if I would be able to do 75 hard, because it's such a commitment. It's like when you do any sort of physical feat, like your marathon, half marathon even, Ironmans, bodybuilding prep, all of those different things, it requires so much time and effort put into them that goes on top of your daily life. It goes top on your 9 to 5, it goes on top of seeing your friends, socializing, being with your family. All of that is your baseline, and then you have extras that you have to do for this challenge that you want to complete. Next, I want to talk about the inclusion of the diet within 75 hard. So, in my opinion, I think this is the most vague rule to follow. So, following a diet is what he says. Follow a diet for 75 hard. And I think a lot of the time people don't have the right education of knowing what food is most beneficial for them and which foods are least beneficial for them. And so they will unknowingly overconsume calories, and this can be through little things like the condiments that they have on their food to the lubricants and oils that they use for their cooking. They use a lot of butter when they cook their steaks. It can add on 200-300 calories onto your meal, which, adding that on throughout the day, if you have 2 meals that include butter cooked in the pan, that can be an extra 400 or 500 calories just whacked onto your diet, making it that much harder for you to lose weight. And so, yeah, I think that this rule is, like, it's a door for obsessiveness. and it's wide open for everyone that's starting this challenge, because when someone like Andy, who created 75 Hard, who, for people that don't know him off by name, you'd know him off the sound of him and David Goggins, where he keeps telling David Goggins to do one more rep, and David is just shouting 18, 19, and that's where the "who carried the boats" meme basically came from. He was the guy that was with David Goggins, which they'd just done an ultra marathon beforehand and then gone to the gym. That's who Andy is. He is a freakish workaholic, and honestly, props to him for making this challenge, because to think of this for something that I think a lot of people can do, and it's a very challenging, no matter what, this is a challenging thing for everyone to do, no matter what. Unless you're David Goggins, this will be challenging, no matter how strong-minded you are, no matter how physically gifted you are, no matter how used to working out you are. This is a challenge. This is tough. And he absolutely has his place with the stuff that he does, because he's so highly disciplined and keeps getting better. And I just think that this rule, the diet rule, is very, very vague. Right? So instead of saying, just follow a diet, make it easier for yourself and make it a purely whole food diet. That should be the rule. Purely whole food. So anything that comes from a tree or is off the back of an animal or grows from the ground, that's completely free. You're able to have that. But anything that has any chemicals, any sort of like preservatives, like nothing, like the biggest rule of thumb for whole foods when you're shopping, like outskirts of the entire supermarket. Everything inside on the shelves, like on the little shelves, on the middle of the supermarket, just don't even bother. The stuff on the outside, that's all of your dairies, your meats, your fruits. That's all the stuff that you really do need. But there was a study done by the Eating Behaviors Journal in 2017, and it found that diet challenges on social media correlate with increased body dissatisfaction and also compulsive eating tendencies, quite particularly in women aged from 18 to 30, because historically women have always had problems with their body composition. There's always been such high standards for women to be this slim down supermodel and always looking their best, whereas men have always just been like, just get big and get jacked and go to the gym and shit. And so this is like a very prominent age range, being 18 to 30, of women who are constantly on their phones and constantly online. These are the people that are most affected by it, by far. So I think following a strict diet for 75 days can teach you discipline, but it can also come with a gateway to unnecessary guilt for eating food. Along with this challenge, there comes with a lot of psychological benefits as well. This challenge isn't all negatives. This isn't just to shit on 75 Hard for 20 minutes. But I think what works really well, and I think by far the best thing for this challenge, is the reading 10 pages and also drinking 4 litres of water a day. I think those two things are probably the easiest changes that you can make in your lifestyle, because they're so easily adaptable into your day-to-day life. So there was a study done by the Journal of Applied Psychology, and it showed that daily reading of non-fiction books can result in improvements with your long-term goal orientation and also your cognitive flexibility. So this is especially in adults with higher stress, higher daily stress. So adults who are working a high level job or just overall perceived stress to a higher degree than most other people do, they will see the most benefit from daily reading of non-fiction books. Another study done in 2007, so a very early study, showed that self-discipline is very highly strengthened when consistent repetition over time of self-disciplinary goals are continued throughout the day. It says that strength, it says that the brain is just like a muscle. It has to be strengthened over time. And so when you read or when you go out and exercise or when you drink your 4 liters of water every single day, your brain is growing. There's a specific part of your brain that actually grows. And I can't remember exactly. Andrew Huberman talked about it once. And it's like the anterior frontal something cortex. And whenever you do a chore or activity or something that you originally despise doing at that moment and you still go through and complete it, that part of your brain actually grows. It grows like a muscle. And so when you have consistent repetition over time, it can improve your long-term goal setting, your planning, your impulsive control, and your overall cognitive performance because your brain is still growing. It's becoming more mature. So this part of the challenge and your structured routine, your daily reading, it can be like incredibly empowering for people if it's separated from the like overall perfectionism of 75 hard. Because I think a lot of the time 75 hard, it hasn't been about having the perfect workout or having the best day or always wanting to drink your 4 liters of water or enjoying your book every single time you read it, but more so just getting shit done. Like just sucking it up and getting through it and saying, okay, fuck, I have to read. Let me read now. Or, Jesus, workout sucks and I really don't want to do it, but I want to complete this challenge. So I still do it. I still go through with it. That's what I think 75 hard is about. It's just getting shit done. And so then, I guess like a downside, but also something that separates disciplinary people from non-disciplinary people is the all or nothing kind of thinking towards this. So the start from day one, you mess up. The rule says you have to restart again. Or let's say you're at day 14 and you stuff up. You're back to day one. The people who are mentally tough accept that and then they just go again and start again. But for some people, this just fuels their failure tendencies. So they immediately think, fuck, I failed. Like, there's no point in me trying anymore. And so, I guess the people who do complete this challenge, it shows how mentally tough and also shows your own capabilities. Shows, like, shit, I'm actually capable of doing something hard. So, I guess you could say, like, 75 hard, it's like the zero tolerance kind of aspect of it. And that kind of mindset, it does create a sort of pressure cooker effect on someone's like own mental battles and mental failures. But I think that it's a great builder for someone's discipline. I think overall this is a great challenge for people who are in a shit spot. And so overall I think that like the big question, is 75 hard worth it today? I think yes and no. I think it has its place completely. I think if you're in a spot where you feel stuck, you're at your job and or you're young like myself and you're not doing uni or you don't really have much going on in your day-to-day life and you're just waiting for the weekend to go out with your mates and have a drink or even just catch up with your friends and you're just stuck in this one spot, I think that this is a really good way to just push you over the edge and give you that little kick in the bum, saying like, fuck, okay. Saying like, fuck, okay, let's get into gear now. Let's start doing something with myself. But if you're already like super busy working on stuff and your life is really progressing and I guess there's a lot of things already pressuring you to get through, or you have that really good mate who's still telling you to like keep moving, like what you're doing is good, like keep on going with it, or things are going really well, then you really don't need 75 hard. If you've already got enough on your plate, finish your food. Don't add more. But yeah, that brings us to the end of this episode. I hope you guys enjoyed this and I guess enjoy hearing my opinion and just honestly a bit of a yap fest about 75 hard. But yeah, we'll see you guys in the next episode.